7 o'clock. I convene the May 15th, 2024 regular board meeting to order at 7 p.m. Jackie, please call the roll.
Marjorie Bartowi.
Here.
Emily Swistak, absent. Karen Larson, absent. Liz Sullivan.
Here.
Vanessa Berry.
Here.
Debbie Bryan.
Here.
Josh Martin.
Here.
Thank you. Agenda item 2, opportunity for visitors to speak. Public comment is for the general public to address the board. Each person will have up to 5 minutes to provide public comment. Seeing none, we will move to item 3. Acknowledges that Treasurer Larson, and Trustee Martin reviewed the April billings in May, and that Trustee Berry and Trustee Bryan will review the May billings in June. Agenda item 4, consent agenda. Is there a trustee who wishes to pull something from the consent agenda? If not, may we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
I
move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? Roll call, please.
Marjorie Bartowi.
Aye.
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Vanessa Berry.
Aye.
Debbie Bryan.
Aye.
Josh Martin.
Aye.
Thank you. Agenda item 5, 5A1, unfinished business. Capital Improvement Project Monthly Project Status Report. Mark, would you update the board?
Yes, back to 2 pages, but there's a little bit more substance now. So, first page is just dedicated to the North Main Entry Capital Improvement Project. That's what we're still trying to close out. In short, there are a few minor items still left. We did have our walk. We have a seal coating. I don't want to call it re-seal coating yet, but they're looking at it. They're looking to see how they're going to address it. I know the library's asked the company to come out and look at and target Memorial Day weekend. I don't think we've gotten a response to that request, so we will continue pushing that. We were told they originally did come out after about the 23rd of this past month in April to be back in town. They are. They responded to our email, Will's email specifically last week. We're trying to get them out here. Basically, it's a short story. So to cover up the seal coating that is showing through right now. Landscaping, that guy, that company confirmed that the plants are in now. They just got a schedule, and it will be done this month.
So they're in, not in here.
They're in their
Available.
shop. I don't know, landscape their yard, I guess, is what it would be. So that is happening as well. We've got roughly $3,000 in change left to pay out on Camosi, and that'll be closed out. I did go and update the actual expenditure summaries, and you can start to see that the numbers are getting awfully close. Committed to date is 7.587, and the paid to date is 7.509. Again, we'll be continuing to draw that down here to make, once committed and expenditures even out, that means the project is closed essentially. No changes to any change orders, and we can see the invoices from the last month that were there. Any questions on that project before I move on to the next one? Okay. More substance on the next page, and this is what we'll be focusing on over the next couple of months. I did try laying out a schedule for discussion here, just to make sure we're on the same page and we have a place to move towards. So step 1 in the task that were assigned to CCS was the mechanical replacements or mechanical scope. We did go and get we requested multiple quotes, and actually interesting, as of the writing of this board report, we had 2 of 3. Today, we received the 3rd.
Oh.
So it came much later than we were told it would come. It basically was late. But I can say that that 3rd quote was provided by Lisle, who was the engineer for this renovation project. Just to put in comparison of the 3 firms, Laura, their quote was $19,900 not to exceed, and they would do it hourly up to that point, and everything exposure beyond that would be on them essentially. Lisle, with the information we got today, was $26,000, and 2010 engineers, they're at $37,500. All for roughly the same scope. I will say that Alara thinks that the BAS systems, the building automation system, their approach is that they're going to try to recommission it as best as possible to get it to be an open source, open protocol system. Basically, instead of having to replace all of the equipment, the controllers for all the equipment, I should say, downstream, they're going to try to reuse them where they can with a new software head end in front. So they'll study that. If they can't, then they have to go out and actually replace everything. It's not a problem. It's still within the 19.9, and they'll go and bid that out. But they're at least taking that first step to go and do it. There's 3 pieces of scope in these numbers, so we're all aware. It's the building automation system. It's reviewing the 1 condensing unit that's on this end of the building. You have 4 total condensing units, 2 here on the east side, 2 on the west. The one on the east has been giving the library problems for years. With that, we know that one's the first to be replaced. what is interesting is that all 4 of your condensing units operate off of an old type of refrigerant that is being phased out by the government. You're not able to put new equipment in with that same type of refrigerant. So Alara will come in the next really next month essentially, provide some review options and give the library some options of, do we just replace the 1 now? Do we hold off another year or so and replace 2 of the 4 or all 4? What's the right structure to get the most bang for your buck? Knowing that at least one of them, when you do replace it, will be on new refrigerant. Is it better to have them all on the same refrigerant or what? So they'll review that, give us options. The third scope is the boiler on the west end of the building. You have 2 boilers. The one boiler that needs to be replaced, it's at its end of life. It is working okay, by the way. According to the library's history, it's basically an ancillary boiler, so it kicks on when the main boiler needs some supplement or is cycling on and off. So again, if it needs to happen now or maybe 2 years from now, we can work with Alara, assuming that we go with them, and talk to the board next month to say this is the plan, and then we release the bid documents. We need someone to come up with a scope to go out to bid, which is why we're doing this part. So the nice thing is, I think they're thinking about 50% of their work, the 19.9, would be to get to the point where we can talk to the board, go through all their analysis, and make a decision on what we're going to bid out, when we're going to bid it out. If we only go out to bid for one of those 3 pieces of scope, you're not going to pay the 19.9. It'll be something less than that. If you go for all 3, the cap you would pay would be 19.9. I think they're approaching it in a fair manner for the library, and it's the lowest cost anyways. So with that, unless there's an objection from the board, we'll proceed with that. It is at an administrative approval level, but we want to talk to the board before we launched anywhere. Any questions on everything I just said there? I know I said a lot.
Might be early, but do we know how much time we have before we can no longer use the existing refrigerant in the other 3 condensing units?
You can continue to getting it, but the supply will be dwindling. So the funny thing is, they even all 3 of the companies that came out talked about this, and then no one's really said when they'll cut off all of the old equipment, because they still have old equipment on the shelf.
Right.
So they're still going to supply those parts and pieces and the refrigerant itself for probably a couple of years, would be my guess. And then they'll slowly phase it out. And as the supply dwindles, then the cost of it will go up to get that same refrigerant. So
From everything that I've been told since stepping into my shoes, the units will go before the refrigerant is an issue.
Fair. Yeah, okay.
there you go, another 3.
Makes
Yeah.
the decision for us.
And what the other 3 are targeted for?
So the one that causes the most issues was put in 2008. The other 3 were put in 2012. So as part of the FQC report, the old one, the 2008 one, is right around its limit right now, and then the other 4 are just the 4 years behind. So they are other 3. Excuse me. Yes, anticipated for another 3 to 5 years.
And the
tops.
08 is the oddball,
The 08 is the oddball. We have one train.
Other vendor.
We have one train and
company.
3 carrier, and the 08 is the train, and the other 3 are carrier.
Does everybody feel, I mean, I would say we should go with the lowest quote here, Alara. Do you want to explain again what the 19 encompasses? What are they going to do for that 19?
So they'll come out, they'll do an initial analysis. They're going to look at all your old historical data, so any of the service tickets essentially the library has for the boiler as well as the condensing units. They will give an assessment, so I'll walk through the schedule actually. So they'll give an initial assessment between now and the next board meeting. Now we're trying to hit that next board meeting with that assessment. It might come in just in time basically, because we got a tight window here. But essentially we would at that point then go and put together bid documents. They would put together a scope that we're going to go out to bid. And that was probably going to take a month or so to do. Then they'll actually analyze the bids when they come in and give us guidance on which one is the right one to go with. And once they're in, they're not going to necessarily provide construction administration. They'll come out and take a look at things, but we can provide it hourly if we run into problems with the contractor not performing or something like that. So they do the analysis, they come up with a bid package for us, and they're calling it design build bid. And the reason for that is they're going to put in as much information to basically get the right spec and the right system in there, but they're not going to dictate this piece of pipe goes here, that elbow goes there. So that way it gives the contractors a little bit more freedom to do what they need to do within the renovation scope and kind of give you a turnkey number at the end of that bid.
Can you clarify assessment? So their assessment obviously is help out to to write out the scope for the RFP. The assessment will also include whether or not we want to replace that condenser, or do we want to plan for maintenance for 2 years, correct, or something like that?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
They'll give the options. And they'll, I've worked with them in the past, and they will most likely make a recommendation of this is what we recommend, but here are the pros and cons to go back and forth.
Good.
I've seen them, the recommendations can sometimes be verbose too, so we'll try to make sure that it's condensed for everyone to get through, but they'll go to the nuts and bolts.
I think the more info, the better.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, they usually go, at least their principal, who will be involved in this, goes the extra mile when he's talking about these things.
Are you familiar with the 2010?
So Lisa Bryan, yes, all three. So Lisa Bryan was the one who did this one. That was my only project I've done with them in the past.
Okay.
2010, I've done 3 projects with them recently as well.
Just curious.
On 5B, the RFP for testing and recommissioning the building's existing HVAC systems, is that where they're referring to recommissioning the BAS? Is that what they mean with that one?
Yes, that's
Okay.
exactly what I mean by that.
And they're some degree confident that they can create a scope that will enable that to happen, that we can turn something semi-proprietary into open source?
That's what I challenged a little bit, because
Okay.
you do have some old devices, Schneider devices,
Right.
that are they're in a cabinet basically, or architecture that is open source, but they have devices that are locked down. So I asked that, they have Alara has a controls division within Alara itself that will be looking at this. So they said that basically if they can't do it, that's fine, and then it would be closer to the quotes in terms of dollars that you guys had received and looked at, I think, over the past couple of months, if we can't recommission it. If we can
Okay.
figure out a way to recommission it, which is their first goal, it's going to be less than the quotes you guys received, significantly
Okay.
less than we
Got it.
received before. I have a little bit of doubts if you're asking me that they can do it, but whether their cost includes doing it or not, I think you're safe either way, and let's see if they can figure out a way to make it more cost effective for the library.
Just wanted to work.
Right. Good question there. So,
In the package from them, the reuse of the existing electrical infrastructure, is that basically new? With the we didn't replace all of our electrical.
no, you didn't. You had a lot of existing, especially the service coming into the building is all existing. So
Okay.
that would not be changing as part of this
It
scope of
wouldn't.
work regardless.
Okay. Anyone else?
Okay, so then just to finish it up too, so you guys know what we are working on paper here. This is the mechanical engineering information, but we are working on the capital replacement planning program.
Mhm.
We'll probably be asking the library administration to sit down the next 2 weeks or so to go through some of the preliminary information that we have started creating. Just for reference, we've done this for Villa Park Public Library, for Fountaindale before that, so we've got historical documents for other libraries. When you put in something new, how long do you plan for that to last? We'll go through that with the library staff in the next month or two. We're also starting to look at the vacant lot planning. What I put on here is some meeting targets, so that next month we would come in to have a little bit of a scope discussion after talking to staff about that next month. That would coincide to having some, at least, idea of how we're going to proceed with the mechanical scope. And then we have a little bit of a gap. We'll give you an update in July, and then in August, we're gonna have a lot more information. We're bringing in a bid amount for you guys to consider on the mechanical side. Now, I'll be honest, that might push to September, but hopefully we're targeting August right now. We're gonna push everyone for August. But at that point, we'd also have the CCS capital replacement plan, as well as some guideline costs for the vacant lots. We'll try to bring all that together. Best case scenario in August, worst case scenario in September. Any questions there?
Ambitious but good.
Yeah, it's ambitious, yes. So I want to put a target out there, and I don't want to promise that yet, but let's put it out there and try to hit that.
Great.
Great, yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thanks.
Of course.
All right. Agenda item 6, committee reports.
Thank you, Mark.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, so the first mention is National Library Week. Now, I verbally reported on this last month just because it happened
Wait,
just,
are
We
we
had
going to do
6.
committee reports?
oh, I'm sorry, I
Oh,
thought you
no.
said,
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I did say committee.
oh, sorry. You looked at me.
No, well,
I'm out of
because we
order.
have 2 absent, you're going to report for Emily when we get there, right?
I have a note,
Finance,
yes.
any report?
Not
I'm
at
very
this
sorry.
time.
Okay. personnel policy.
Okay, so yes, Vice President Swistak left me a note. So she's saying that the director evaluation documents will be sent to you very soon, and it will be due to Vice President Swistak by June 17th.
Oh.
No later than June 17th.
That's a very
because the
generous
board meeting's
deadline.
on June 19th. And that is it.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
No physical plan, Karen is absent, strategic planning. Just to summarize, the SBC met for the first time on May 7th. The committee is comprised of all board members, the director, assistant director, and the department directors. The director provided a PowerPoint presentation that reviewed the previous strategic plan outcomes. Tatiana then facilitated a SWOT analysis discussion. The committee discussed ways to include external input and ways to promote the committee's work. And for homework, members will prioritize the ideas that were discussed. We have not scheduled the next meeting yet.
That is correct.
Right. Okay. Agenda item 7, staff reports. Director's report.
Okay, sorry. Jumping the gun there. Okay, so I first mentioned National Library Week celebration, and I verbally made a report last month because it occurred just before the last board meeting. So I'm going to skip this part in the report, but I just wanted it on the written record so we had it in our records for the future. So moving on, the National League of Cities organization put on an informative webinar where they discussed a recent Supreme Court case that talked about the First Amendment, staff using social media, elected officials using social media, and both Will and I sat in on that webinar. So it's just good for every government agency to be aware and refresh ourselves on OMA. And I included it in this report for the benefit of our elected officials. So just in sum, best practice is to make sure your personal social media is separate from your either trustee social media or your campaign social media. It's always nice to put on there that the views expressed are solely my own. And just understand that if it's on your governmental page or trustee or campaign page, if there are some critiques or some negative comments or even some foul comments, they are still considered protected speech and you can't hide them or delete them. And it can also help prevent unnecessary lawsuits. So it's a good refresher for us both. There's also rules and regs for the government, the staff, social media. There's parameters there for us too. Okay, then moving on to under the TIF Joint Review Board mention, I noted that I attended the review board on April 24th at Village Hall. The TIF affected bodies were there, such as the Park District, the Fire District, the schools. The mayor chaired the meeting. A new TIF consultant was introduced to the membership there, and they had a PowerPoint for all 3 TIFs. PowerPoint was not afforded to the members at the meeting, so I asked for it. I sent it to you all, and if you have further questions, you can go to the village's website under their financial information. Again, the library is a member of that board, but we just are advisory and not even, I mean, we basically vote on the minutes. We can ask some questions, but it's strictly a village. The village has full authority over the TIFs in the district, of which there are 3. Okay, moving on to under partnerships in my report, we've had so much collaboration in the last 30 days, especially with the Women's Club. So first, in April, we hosted a donation box for the homeless vets. In May, we accepted artwork from Lisle Elementary's 5th grade class. It's still downstairs. It's going away very soon, so if you haven't taken a look, take a look in youth services. They had an art scholarship contest, the Lisle Women's Club, for that art. And we also are helping promote the Garden Gate. We gave away seed cards at the circulation desk, and we also have some signage up on Front Street in Kingston. So that's our Women's Club effort. We also have an upcoming partnership with the museums at Lisle Station Park. I met with the museum curator this month about the possibility of partnering for a Chicago author series. They've been doing this author series at the Park District, but haven't garnered a lot of attendance, so I met with her, I forgot her name, Grace.
Yes.
Yes, Grace. And she came and saw the meeting room. She loves the renovation. She thought working together we could gather a lot more people to learn about the authors, also promote the museum, and also promote the library. So that's to come sometime in January. We're thinking January, February, March, but more details to come. And then the Village of Lisle, they are celebrating Public Works Week, and they asked if we could have some coloring pages for the kids. We did that all this last week. They'll be picking up those coloring pages, I believe, this Friday, and then they're going to feature them on social media. So very nice. And then I mentioned the Strategic Planning Committee, and President Bartelli did a great job talking about it, so I won't do that here. I just will mention that I did craft that survey that went out this week, so I'm hoping to get results back next week so we can plan our next discussion. And that's my report.
Hey, thank you very much.
Sure.
Assistant Director Savage.
All right, so a lot of my stuff, at least my meetings, have already been covered. So the director mentioned the webinar I attended about social media and free speech for public employees. So we got a lot out of that. Mark earlier mentioned that we met up with several HVAC engineers to show them the building and give them an idea of what we were looking for when it came to an RFP. So we completed that. Then in the facility, staff noticed some damage to 2 of our outdoor chairs in the pergola area. I submitted warranty claims on both, and they should be here by the end of the month, replacements. I also have reached out to a few local painters to get some quotes on restaining the pergola and the fence around it. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I can get somebody to get that done before summer read kickoff. We'll see how quickly I can get somebody moving. Johnson Flooring came out to replace several of the stair treads on the main staircase and the east one here. Some of the toes along the bottom were rippling. It was an issue that we've had since construction finished. And this was the final straw where we had guys come out and try to heat them and then re-glue them and do a bunch of other things. They ripped out 5 of the 6 of the coverings and just fully replaced them. And that was all under warranty, so hopefully that solves our issue, but I will be watching. And then also Sendra came out to complete spring preventative maintenance on our HVAC system. One of the water pumps on our boilers that we've been looking at for the last 6 to 9 months has been having some issues. That was the one that caused some heating issues a few weeks ago. Looks like it's going to need to have some parts replaced, so they're going to give me a quote on that. As well as, especially due to the air quality last summer, all of our coils on our condensing units need to be chemically cleaned. That's typically something we do every year or every other year, and because of last summer being as gnarly as it was, it needs to happen again this year. So I'm waiting to get that work scheduled as well.
Any questions for Will? Thank you. Item 8 is new business. 8A is approve the salary scale for fiscal year 2024-25 in accordance with the Illinois minimum wage target for 2025. I need a motion and a second, and then Director Weinstein will provide an explanation.
I move to approve the Lisle Library District salary scale for fiscal year 2024-25 in accordance with the Illinois minimum wage target for 2025.
A second.
I'll second. Stop being so polite.
Thank you. Discussion? I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. So as a government agency, we're required to post the salary scales for all job descriptions and show that the starting salary and then also show the ceiling. We do the scale adjustments every year. This scale is for fiscal year 2024-25 as mentioned, so it won't go into effect until July 1st. And we've adjusted annually, since I've been director, about 2% every year, just to keep competitive with other libraries as well as to move with the CPI. So we've also adjusted the lowest level positions, so the page and the associate positions, so that they align with that Illinois minimum wage target for 25, sorry. And the law itself was enacted in 2019, and we've adjusted those bottom level positions so that we could not have to make any drastic cuts when we get to 24-25. I know a lot of other agencies, other libraries have they're kind of scrambling now because like, oops, we have to make that mark, and they've had to cut positions. So luckily, we're not in that position this year.
Great job.
Mhm.
All right. Any discussion or questions? Roll call.
Marjorie Bartelli,
Aye.
Liz Sullivan,
Aye.
Vanessa Berry,
Aye.
Debbie Bryan,
Aye.
Josh Martin.
Aye.
Thank you. 8B is to approve the working budget for fiscal year 2024-25. Need a motion and a second, and Director will summarize.
I move to approve the LLD working budget for fiscal year 2024 through 2025.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Okay, so this draft is unchanged from last month, so I think I gave a fairly comprehensive overview last month, so I won't go over the details tonight. I just will reiterate that we have a balanced budget here. When we look at both expenses and revenues, there's a negligible $18,000 difference between spending and income. We have a $4.7 million budget, and I just want to again thank the administrative staff, our department directors, and our financial advisors that we outsource with, and our attorney for their assistance and their review. And just with that, the staff requests that the board approve the 24-25 working budget as presented, unless there's any other questions.
Any questions?
Nope.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Marjorie Bartelli,
Aye.
Liz Sullivan,
Aye.
Vanessa Berry,
Aye.
Debbie Bryan,
Aye.
Josh Martin.
Aye.
Okay. Item 9, opportunity for trustee comments. Trustee Berry?
I really like the new calendar system and the ability to book meeting rooms and the study rooms online is very easy to use. Isaac's been booking for his D&D group, so an 11-year-old hopped on, got it all figured out, and
That's
yeah, it's really nice. I think it'll be really beneficial to patrons.
Trustee Bryan?
Well, I want to thank you, Tatiana, for leading such a great strategic planning workshop. That was wonderful. I enjoyed it. I was so glad to see all the department heads here. I really only met Elizabeth, so it was really great to hear everybody, and I just really kind of felt like I knew so much more about the library after we left. So I thought that I was just thrilled. It was great work. I look forward to more meetings like that. And I just want to say I'm so glad you're working with the Park District. Grace is wonderful. You
She
will
is.
just,
She's
she's great to work with. I work with her too, and she's just a lot of fun and follows through and wants the best for the community. So I think it's going to be a great partnership.
Yeah, and the department directors all enjoyed it as well, so
Yeah.
thank you
Good.
for being welcoming.
Thank you. Trustee Martin?
I have no further comments.
All right. Secretary Sullivan?
Nothing at this time.
And I have nothing either, but I mirror your comments about the strategic planning. I feel like I'm back in school again, though, but that's not all bad, I guess. Well, the last item on the agenda, may I have a motion and a second?
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 7:28 PM.